Have you ever noticed that some things are just too hard to move on from, that we feel stuck in the past sometimes, we can't seem to let go? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you why that happens, what the brain is doing when it's staying stuck in the past, and also how to move out of it into a more positive future. My name's Matt. I'm a qualified psychotherapist and meditation specialist, and I teach people how to get their minds working for them rather than against them. And in this video, I'm going to show you how. So why do we get stuck in the past? Why do we find some things that happen to us so hard to let go? Well, I'm going to tell you something that you've probably never been told about the mind. The mind doesn't tell the truth all the time. In fact, the mind lies to us constantly. The mind is not a recording machine. It doesn't record our memories exactly how they happened. It doesn't record our life in the way that we think it does. The mind records our memories and edits our life depending on the story we are telling ourselves about our lives. So for example, if we look back at the past and we choose an event, events happen and then we tell ourselves a story about that event, and it is that story that the mind records. So for example, we have an exam, we fail that exam, and we decide that failing that exam means that we are unintelligent. And it will record and start to edit events to fit that narrative. Why does it do this? Well, the mind craves certainty, because certainty in evolutionary terms means safety. And our evolutionary programming, the automatic nature of the mind, is to keep us safe and our social status high. And it will take that over everything. And it will start to judge the world in this way and accept it as certainty that you are intelligent. And so all your memories and all the events that start to happen to you start to have this colour. It's a filter, it's a prism, it's a story. And the brain will start to confirm this story. It will start to have what's called confirmation bias. So every conversation that you have where you don't say the thing that you want to, or you muddle your words, or in a situation you don't have the answer straight away, all this will be recorded in the brain as evidence that you are unintelligent. And it becomes a story that is constantly told about every single interaction. And this story starts to build up. Now, all the other positive things that happen don't make it through the filter. They just get blocked. And everything that confirms this story and gives the brain this certainty will be recorded in the memory. And this story becomes your life. It becomes your identity. Now, of course, that isn't true. And there are lots of things that prove that you are an intelligent person that are just flying past your head as the brain continues to use this filter to block them out. And so we need to start to realize this, that the brain is not a recording machine. It is a storytelling machine. And we need to be aware of the stories that we are telling ourselves. What story are you telling yourself about that thing that you are stuck on? What meaning are you giving it? What does it mean to your identity? If it's a breakup, are you telling yourself it's because you're unlovable that breakup happened? If it's a job interview that you've failed, or you've done something wrong at work and made a mistake, are you telling yourself a story about your competence and your worth? Because it's the meaning that is going to filter the brain, and it will eventually affect how you see the world and how you see your life. But the good news is we can do something different. We can start telling ourselves a different story. And by telling ourselves a different story about the things that happen to us, we can start to put a different filter on the world. And even have no filter and see the world clearly as it really is. So to start to tell a different story about our lives, and also to start to let go of the things that we're stuck on in the past, we need to start to ask ourselves 3 important questions. What story am I telling about this thing or myself? What story am I telling? Is it a narrative such as I'm a bad person, I always get things wrong, I'm not worthy, I'm not successful? What story are you telling yourself? What messaging are you telling yourself about this thing that has happened or is happening? Okay? The next thing you want to be asking yourself is there any other interpretation of this thing or story? Is there another way of looking at it? Okay? What other possible ways can I look at this? Is there even a positive way of looking at this? Is there something that I can learn from this experience? Or when I look back at that experience, understand that it was an event that happened, there were negatives to it, but there may also be positives to it too. And also removing yourself from it and any criticism, just looking at the situation as it is and asking, how can I interpret this in a different way, different to the story that I'm telling myself? And then the third question is there any evidence to support the story that I'm telling? So if you are telling a story and you've noticed that you're telling a story, ask yourself, is there any evidence to support it? Is there any evidence to support that I'm always unintelligent? Is there any evidence to support that I'm always getting things wrong? Is there any evidence to contradict that? And so by looking at different evidence to support a different argument about that event or situation, and then also looking at a different way to interpret it, starts to shift the brain out of its narrow focus. And it starts to tell a different story. Now, we have the ability to do this as human beings. We're amazing in that way. The brain is automatic and we can get stuck on one particular story, on one particular way of looking at the world. But if we start to build in a habit of when we get a negative message from the brain and a negative story, of contradicting it with wider evidence and more positivity, the brain will start to get on board with this and start to open up and widen its filter, and then hopefully drop its filter totally and start to see the world as a more complex, vibrant and exciting place, and also start to tell a story about you that is more positive and more in connection with reality and the present. So next time you find yourself stuck on a particular event or a particular way of thinking, ask yourself those 3 questions. What story am I telling myself? What is the evidence to support that story? And also, what is the evidence to contradict it? And is there another way of interpreting this? Is there another way of being? Is there another story that we can tell that will serve us better? We don't have to listen to the mind. The mind is a thinking machine. The mind is a storytelling machine, and it is designed for efficiency and around 2 specific tasks: keeping you safe and keeping your social status high. And it's very good at those things, and it's very good that it's efficient, but it will not always be truthful, and it will not always make us happy. And so we need to start using the mind as a tool and putting that tool down when it's not serving us, and recalibrating the tool when its settings have gone a little bit awry. And we do that through exercises like this. So next time, rewrite the story. Tell the brain that you're okay, and tell the brain that it might have got things wrong. If this video was useful, like and subscribe, or join our Skool community for more techniques.